Afternoon everybody, happy Saturday, hope you are enjoying your day so far and indeed the weekend. Today is the 1st of September and it's a rather special day actually. Today celebrates a year since the Peace Novella series went live, and a project that had been a year in the making was able to come to fruition. About 18 months ago, a lady named S.H. Pratt decided to bring together a number of authors, 18 authors in total, from different backgrounds, different genres, different levels of writing experience, and to bring them together to create and develop the town of Peace, Montana, a fictional town, a town nonetheless that has a lot of stories attached to it. And I happened to be part of this team, part of this collaboration, and it was something of an interesting developmental experience actually. I really enjoyed working with it, working with the ladies and enjoying learning what happens in the world of indie publishing and indie writing. So today the very first novella went live, and that very first novella was written by A.H. Stagg, and it was this one. This is Songs of Peace. I never know how these camera things work. So there you go. This is Songs of Peace by A.H. Stagg. This was the very first piece of work written and created for the Peace novella series. And on the back it says, Annabeth Harrington has left Peace, Montana, with a lifetime of nightmares chasing her. Determined to overcome her past, she was slowly making a name for herself as a reporter for the Boston Sun. Annabeth Harrington and Jolon Lee are the very first set of characters to set foot in Peace and help you paint a picture. It is historical fiction, and it's a rather interesting way of looking at how Peace starts out, the two families that are involved. The Harringtons have something of a history with Peace. I almost feel as though I should be boo-hissing them. Founding fathers, founding family, and they do set up a lot of the events that happen and occur in the whole of the series. So that is A.H. Stagg's Songs of Peace. The next one was by Chrissy Foster, and this is, in the sleepy town of Peace, Montana, Jim Harwood has a DIY store, a hardware store. Can you see that one? There you go, a DIY hardware store. And it's a story of a simple, straightforward romance. I think the moral is, if you've judged someone and you realise that you judged someone and it's not a good thing, making amends and making some form of reconciliation. And that's by Chrissy, and that was the second novella that was published. I mentioned S.H. Pratt before, the founding lady, the founding mother, I guess, of this whole collaboration, this whole writing project, and she has two stories that feature in this. The first one, I think it's the first one, I don't know what my list tells me now, was Reclaiming Peace, and there you go. And this is actually an award-winning cover as well, so if you see this one, it's what you voted for. Reclaiming Peace is written with Dexter McBride, and the McBrides are the other family involved in Peace. It's Harringtons versus McBrides, and a town council. It gets very, very heated, and mentions here the greed of B.J. Harrington and the nightmare of his son Brent. So more history, it's more contemporary, and helps flesh out and build Peace. Lots of different people, and they all make a return to Peace. Peace seems to be the melting pot, where if you've got something going on inside your life, you do tend to come back to Peace. Whether you're looking for something, whether you're returning to something, Peace is the place to be. Then there was L.D. Fenton's What Peace Remains, and this is Maggie Foster. Maggie Foster is a lawyer. I think she's a lawyer. Yeah, she has takes over a law practice that belonged to her grandfather. And somebody in Maggie's past, somebody she knew very well, is having a bit of a drama, and she's able to help him and support him, and who knows, romance does actually blossom. Next, S.H. Pratt again makes another entry, and this time it's Kyle McCoy. The name should give it away a little bit. Kyle McCoy is Scottish in origin, and he too finds himself coming to Peace. Thing is, Kyle's a bit of a rock star. Kyle's got a history. Kyle's been on a journey, figuratively and actually. He's on a bus. And as his concert tour ends, Kyle finds himself at the crossroads of his life, says the blurb, and bumps into people. Stella, who is the proprietor of the bed and breakfast at Peace, and she offers him a bit of a safe refuge, somewhere to stay, somewhere to mend, somewhere to contemplate his fate, I guess. Moving on, we have A Haven in Peace by, I can't believe, Cassie May. So 10 years after being forced to leave peace after her graduation, Lainey makes a return. And again, as with lots of characters, coming back to peace, coming to haven, as it says, is quite important. So Lady Bradshaw is coming back to face something, to resolve something, I guess. I've mentioned before that peace tends to attract people. People come to peace for whatever number of reasons, whatever they might be, whether they have lost something, whether they are finding something. And the character in Jennifer Fish Ferguson's book, which is The Philosophy of Peace, Lauren, she gets stranded, she gets stuck in peace. It's a bit like that hotel, you can check in but you can never check out. So Lauren gets stranded, bumps into a cowboy. There's a lot of cowboys in peace. I get a feeling it is cowboy country, and I think there's a tow truck involved. But Lauren meets this cowboy, gets stuck, thinks he's a bit of alright, and they get to know each other rather well. So that's Jennifer Fish Ferguson and The Philosophy of Peace. We then have a bit of a beautiful masterpiece by Gabrielle Lizette. So being stylist for the rich and famous, isn't that every girl's dream? Well, not for Victoria. She's living a life on tour with a rock star, yet another one in the Peace series, and things go a little pear-shaped. This rock star really isn't the nicest of people, and unfortunately Victoria finds herself in the middle of a storm and has to get through it and finds a bit of peace, and that is a beautiful masterpiece by Gabrielle Lizette. Then I think that's approximately halfway. So we've had Songs of Peace, we've had Love in Peace as well, S.H. Pratt's Reclaiming, Cassie Fenton, another one, S.H. Pratt, Cassie May. Lisa Ann is another lady who was part of this, and she wrote Peace and Harmony. Peace and Harmony is, unfortunately I haven't got a copy of it right now, a young lady who likes music, who sings, a little bit like Carl McCoy actually. Peace and fame and fortune are part of the whole package, and that's another book that you could look into. So it is available in ebook, so by all means go have a look. So now is the halfway point, and you might be thinking, hang on a minute, where's you? Which bit have you put in? There you go, that's mine. And that's Retreating to Peace. And it features a chap called Devon Coultry and a lady named Aditi Rao. Devon's running. He ran all the way from Britain to Peace, Montana, stuck a pin in a map and thought, I'm going there. And this is my contribution to the project. And I enjoyed writing this. It was an interesting process. So after mine and Devon and Aditi, we also have was it called Peace and Comfort by Janetta Sneed. Unfortunately I haven't got that book here right now, and as the title suggests, finding peace and comfort is never an easy thing, but when you come across peace, naturally that is somewhere that you will be able to find it and bump into some interesting people. So after Janetta's we have Caroline Andrews. Caroline has 2 books in the series. The other one is Summer of Peace, and that's another one of the books that I don't actually have with me. This is Peace and Flames, and as the title suggests, fire is involved. Not innocuous, keep your hands warm fire. This is, you think there's a pyromaniac somewhere. Fiery and aflame, and just a bit passionate too. So that's all she says throughout the books, Caroline Andrus and Peace and Flames. The next is Accepting Peace, and I guess it's about resilience and the power of the human spirit to bounce back, be strong, and that very much is the theme of Jen Braddock's Accepting Peace as well. So just like that, I like the gladioli. Well done, Jen. Gladioli on the front cover, and it's Megan Dawson. She never dreamed she'd be pregnant at 17, married at 18. Unfortunately, the man in question isn't particularly pleasant. He's a bit of a toad, to be honest, and he's making Megan's life very difficult. So finding strength, finding courage is very much the theme here, and Megan finds that, and without giving things away, she's a stronger, braver and more resilient woman because of it. So that's Jen Braddock's Accepting Peace. After that we then have, I got the right books, yet, After Jen Braddock's, we also have T. Smith. T. Smith is one of two Aussies, the other one being Elsie Fenton. T. Smith has A Dusty Road to Peace. Now, you'd think you'd be forgiven for thinking that all cowboys are from the Wild West and in the States, but no. T. Smith writes about Dusty coming from Australia, which I found really quite interesting. When you live in a world where your whole frame of reference for anything Australian is Neighbours, Home and Away, Cell Block H, etc., etc., this was a really nice read. And to see a cowboy going from one continent to another, it is nice to read, actually. So T. Smith is the one just after Jen Braddock, and that is Dusty Road to Peace. After that, we have can't speak, put my teeth in, S. Jackson Rivera, and she has written a Peace and Storm. You see the rainbow. Rainbows happen after after we've had a storm, and sunlight hits the drops. And if you know your physics, it's where the light splits and you see all the different wavelengths. Rainbows are incredibly hopeful, often signal a new beginning, and can be quite refreshing. And that's exactly what A Peace in the Storm is. So we've got Jay Terry, and he hears the collective gasp from an audience when the announcer tells him he'd drawn Incubus. So Incubus is the meanest bull on the circuit of this Rodeo circuit in the National Bull Riding Championship, and he's not pleasant, he's not nice. But Jay, his life changes, especially when he sees Gilligan Baker, and without giving anything away, there's Goober. Sorry, but I have to say it. Just read it and find out. And that is Peace in the Storm by S. Jackson Rivera. After that one, after S. Jackson Rivera and Peace in the Storm, you would have Summer of Peace by Caroline Andrus. And again, if you're into young adult and enjoying your summer, I always think of Don Henley and the Boys of Summer, very much the context of that book. Beyond that, we then have Rachel Walter and Piece of Work. So Brand Elhurt even drunkenly stumbles into peace. He's not a nice dude. He's a bit rich, he's entitled, but he spends a lot of his time hammered and hungover. And as it says, his personal demons ignite the embers of his past, setting out, new to destroy him. Only he's capable of doing a lot more. I mentioned previously about peace being a place where you can find your strength, your inner courage, and he does. Battles his demons and does his best to win. That's towards the tail end. Last but not least, the last book in the series is written by Sandra Hurst, and it's called Peace Out, and focuses on a guy called Jericho, and he's also a cowboy, and there's another dangerous, slightly strange bull involved, and two people you wouldn't ordinarily expect to be together, their paths cross, and they realise they have more in common than they do to divide them. So what I've spoken about very, very briefly in the last 12 and a half, nearly 13 minutes, are 18 books, all centering on a town called Peace in Montana. Slightly strange, given that I'm on the other side of the universe, in deepest, darkest Middle Earth in England. 18 stories that have a lot of hope, resilience, brightness, joy in them, written by an incredibly talented, very brave, very intelligent group of women trying to expand their frontiers and develop themselves as writers. I know for me personally, this was about stretching out of my own comfort zone. I started out writing about gardening, I still write about gardening. So to make that movement, that transition for me was really about stretching my boundaries and stepping out of my comfort zone. It is a series that's really vibrant. It's really engaging, it's varied and it's diverse. It's got characters in this collection that perhaps you wouldn't ordinarily come across, you wouldn't ordinarily think about reading, and you get a really rich panorama, a rich diorama really as well, of this town, of this universe. And what you do, you get a sense of how rich and vibrant life can be in reality, and to see that in the pages of these books. And I've got a load here. I've got 2 stacks here, so, and I haven't got all of them, I've got a few missing. So I do suggest that you go have a look at the Peace Novella series. I'm very proud to be part of it, and I've learnt a lot from writing it, from reading the different books. It's really important that people do read, people do engage in different things, and are able to realise that life is full of diversity and full of rainbows, as it happens to be on the top. In the top of this is S. Jackson Rivera's Peace and Storm, that there are lots of different people in this world with all different stories, and when you get them in one place, you're able to celebrate that, encourage that, and perhaps come across things you didn't know before. So I'm going to leave that there. You've had a very very whistle-stop tour of the Peace Novella series, a collection of books that does have something for everybody and does offer something interesting to read. So make sure you have a look at all of those authors. You can find them on the Horticultural Hobbit blog as well. There's a whole section on there with Peace Novella series. There's links on there to buy both. I think the ebooks are on there, so you can have a look at those. But by all means, have a look, read them, review them, share them, and help spread the message of the Peace Novella series.